I stayed silent as she raved, then slid the original deed across the table and watched her face drain of color like she'd seen a specter. Eleanor Whitaker thought she'd triumphed when her HOA demolished my pristine driveway to ram a road through it, leaving jagged rubble and diesel fumes in the dawn air, then billed me $18,000 for emergency upgrades that stranded my 79-year-old wheelchair-bound father without his ramp. The arrogance burned. Retired firefighter turned woodworker, I'd built that 20-foot haven for deliveries, only for this tyrant to vandalize my sanctuary inn. Oak Ridge Meadows outside Seattle, turning peace into war. The nightmare ignited in my decade-long haven in Washington's Oak Ridge Meadows, a serene suburb nestled among evergreen forests where mornings meant sipping strong black coffee on the wraparound porch, listening to the cheerful trills of chickadees flitting between branches heavy with dew, and inhaling the crisp, invigorating scent of pine sap mingling with damp earth after a light rain. At 52, I'm Nathan Harper, a retired firefighter who traded the adrenaline of battling infernos for the quiet satisfaction of woodworking, transforming raw lumber into heirloom pieces, rocking chairs for new parents, custom shelves for local libraries, even therapeutic toys for children's hospitals. The house was my sanctuary, a charming craftsman-style bungalow with a spacious yard bursting with rhododendrons and a vegetable garden that supplied fresh tomatoes and herbs for family dinners. That extra-wide 20-foot driveway was a practical dream, accommodating lumber deliveries without fuss, its stamped concrete surface gleaming under the Pacific Northwest sun, a testament to the home's original 1980s construction that predated the HOA by half a decade. Life felt grounded and purposeful. Simple rituals like watching fog roll off the nearby Puget Sound or hearing the distant call of eagles soaring overhead provided a balm after years of sirens and smoke. But 6 months ago, the rhythm shattered when my father, George, a stoic 79-year-old Korean War veteran, moved in following a severe stroke that robbed him of mobility on his left side, confining him to a wheelchair. George had always been my rock, the man who regaled me with tales of enduring brutal winters in foxholes, teaching me that true strength lay in quiet perseverance. Now, roles reversed, I poured my skills into adapting the garage into a cozy apartment, wide doorways for easy navigation, lowered countertops for independence, and a handcrafted ramp from durable redwood, stained to match the house's exterior, ensuring he could wheel himself out to the porch for morning air, or join me in the workshop without feeling like a burden. The ramp wasn't mere carpentry. It was a lifeline, symbolizing his unyielding spirit amid vulnerability, allowing him to tend a small herb patch or watch neighborhood kids play basketball across the street. That's when Eleanor Whitaker stormed into our lives like a nor'easter off the coast. At 62, she was a transplanted ex-accountant from Illinois, with a no-nonsense platinum pixie cut that framed her sharp features, always armed with a clipboard like a battle standard, dressed in impeccably pressed khakis and loafers that echoed ominously on sidewalks during her dawn patrols. Married to local councilman Richard Whitaker, she had wrested control of the HOA presidency 3 years prior from a burnt-out volunteer, transforming it into her personal empire. Her speeches dripped with buzzwords, aesthetic integrity, value enhancement protocols, compliance optimization, masking a tyrannical streak that thrived on control, viewing any individuality as a threat to her vision of uniform suburbia. Neighbors whispered about her Minnesota roots, where she'd allegedly left a trail of disputes. But in Oak Ridge, she ruled unchallenged, leveraging Richard's influence for leverage over permits and inspections. My initial clash with her venom came last autumn, a crisp citation tucked under my wiper for the driveway's non-conforming dimensions, accusing it of disrupting visual harmony despite its grandfathered status. I countered with a certified surveyor's report, archival photos from my closing documents, and even county blueprints proving its legitimacy, but Eleanor brushed it aside with a curt email, labeling it an egregious infraction exempt from legacy protections. Egregious became her signature slur, hurled like a dart. The onslaught intensified, weekly violations for visible storage bins, safely behind an 8-foot hedge, My hummingbird feeder attracting excessive avian activity. Workshop trucks breaching tranquility periods. Even at 1 p.m. fines snowballed. $70, $110, $170 each, amassing to $4,200. Siphoning funds earmarked for George's rehab equipment. I settled a couple to de-escalate, but the drain was relentless, her certified letters arriving like clockwork, each one a fresh wound. Then came the weekend that obliterated our world. George and I ventured to the Olympic National Park for a therapeutic camping escape, his first since the stroke, roasting marshmallows under starry skies, sharing laughs over old boot camp stories. Returning that Sunday dusk, I braked hard, disbelieving. The driveway was annihilated, 20 feet of elegant stamped concrete pulverized into chaotic debris, orange construction cones sprouting like weeds, emergency road improvement signs glaring mockingly. A hulking bulldozer squatted in my yard, its treads scarring the lawn, hydraulic fluid seeping into my prized azaleas like poison. And there was Eleanor, clipboard poised, hard hat askew, smirking as if unveiling a masterpiece. Critical fire lane ordinance, she intoned, thrusting a fabricated document citing imminent obstruction to emergency maneuvers. The kicker, the work order from Peak Contractors Incorporated predated her emergency board vote by 8 days. Screaming premeditation, and the $18,000 invoice for demolition and enhancement demanded payment within 45 days or face property liens, her surveillance snapshots, shop interiors, George's ramp. Even candid family moments, hinting at months of spying. Witnessing George gaze forlornly from the passenger seat at his vanished ramp, his mobility severed in one vindictive act, ignited a rage. Fiercer than any structure fire I'd charged into. This transcended policy. It was predation, exploiting authority to bully the vulnerable for personal gain. But firefighters thrive in chaos. We assess threats, marshal resources, strike decisively. I confronted her emergency meeting that night, peering through lit windows at her with lackeys Harold Vance, Margaret Lowe, and David Kim ***, lonely retirees ensnared by her charisma, sipping instant coffee amid vanilla air freshener haze. Barging in, I demanded minutes and votes. They mumbled about virtual ballots sans notice, flouting state mandates for 30-day alerts on major levies. Eleanor's manila folder of intrusive photos reeked of violation, her veiled zoning threats against George's apartment veering into extortion. But hubris doomed her. The invoice linked Peak to Richard, unmasking a kickback loop. Harnessing my investigative instincts, honed from fire probes, I dove deep. Courthouse archives exposed Peak Contractors as Richard's venture, siphoning $220,000 in rigged HOA contracts over 20 months, padded bills for illusory repairs, hours inflated beyond reason, materials ghosted. Online sleuthing located the Nelsons, prior casualties who'd ghosted after analogous vandalism to their gazebo, settling under NDA, but murmuring recorded all. Absurd violations surged, doormat, protrusion, mailbox, discoloration, sawdust, nuisance, each autographed, time-stamped, self-damning. Workshop breaches worsened. Initial disarray escalated to sabotage, charity cribs gouged, tools shattered, bolstered cameras snared Richard in the act, aligning with Eleanor's disturbance logs. Pal Ryan dissected her emergency powers as myth, no 75% quorum per charter. Her mailed edicts prime for federal fraud charges. PI dossiers unveiled her nomadic frauds in Iowa and Ohio. Harassment scandals, embezzlement probes, forcing relocations, now frantic amid $280,000 debts from botched investments. The HOA her desperate salvage. We forged the Oak Ridge Five, Susan Reed's book club as Gossip Nexus, Dr. Tanaka parsing statutes with scholarly precision, Tim O'Brien wiring surveillance nets, Lisa Chin fueling #OakRidgeJustice to viral fame. Attorney Laura Gomez, HOA slayer, charted assaults, embezzlement indictments, restitution suits. Fiduciary lapses. Eleanor's lapsed insurance laid bare $200,000 fraud exposure. Stings enticed her retorts. Recordings immortalized bigoted tirades on inferiors. Petitions amassed 140 signatures for her ouster, her quorum-less board fracturing as members fled liability. The pinnacle erupted at Lincoln Middle's gym, 350 jammed under humming fluorescence, rally barbecue aromas clashing with anxiety. Media fleets like paparazzi hordes. Eleanor surged the stage with attorneys, denouncing persecution, but I seized the mic. Audios blared her invoice cons, 1989 deed vetoing unilateral tweaks. Photos of Richard's rezoning confabs for density windfalls, Dr. Tanaka's bias charts, Tim's vandalism reels, Lisa's viral montage. Fury boiled, whispers to bellows, as Eleanor unraveled in epithets, bearing her prejudice nationwide. FBI, primed by mail fraud tips, advanced, shackling the Whitakers mid-outburst, their perp march televised globally, metaphorical walls crashing amid ecstatic roars. Eleanor garnered 7 years for fraud, racketeering, torment. Richard 5, $320,000 reparations distributed. Driveway resurrected Superior with drainage and accents. Workshop amplified. George's ramp fortified. Oak Ridge's veteran-steered board traded penalties for green spaces. Values surged. Birthing Washington's Whitaker Act mandating audits. Rights safeguards. Our fund suckered 58 families annually. Eleanor's auctioned abode reborn as trade's hub teaching skills, converting venom to virtue. Congress invoked us in overhauls. Our festival yearly jubilee of resilience. Yet controversy brews. Was bearing her bigotry and asset grabs unadulterated justice or excess, wounding bystanders? Did solidarity mend or exacerbate fissures? If despots ravaged your refuge, how'd you retaliate? Comment, equitable triumph or extreme? Dish on equity versus excess in enclaves. From whence? Like/subscribe for further conquests o'er despots.